hair looks like a mess today. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm back to listening to Rammstein, and we're going to finish the LOLCODE. I wanted to say LOLCODE generator, but it's not the LOLCODE generator, it's the LOLCODE Babel macro. Yesterday we got to the point of having an implemented macro that takes code like this. So if you import the LOLCODE macro, you can then say something equals to LOLCODE backtick, and then you write in a bunch of LOLCODE into that string. It's like CSS in JS or GraphQL or any of those cool things, except this is LOLCODE. And we found not quite a compiler, we found an interpreter online, and that was great because we saw that we are able to translate LOLCODE into JavaScript, sort of. So what we're going to do today is we're going to try to change this LOLCODE interpreter into an actual compiler so that we can render, or not render, so that our macro can return valid JavaScript from the LOLCODE. And wow, interestingly enough, people joined and then left. So I guess this kind of stream isn't very interesting, but I'm very curious if I can get this working today. In the next, I'm gonna set myself a bedtime of max 2 hours from now, so we'll see if we can change this and get it working in that time. And we also have a test. So let's see, our test, if I run yarn test, it's going to pass, or it's going to fail. I think it's supposed to fail. There we go, it fails because we are expecting to get console log hi world, and we actually get console log yarn 0, and yarn is, I think in the interpreter, yarn is considered the like the memory for the interpreter, so it's trying to return that, but it's not supposed to be returning that. So we will see what we can do. Actually, let's make sure once again that we might be able to find a compiler. So let's see, LOLCODE to JavaScript transpiler or compiler, Replit online LOLCODE editor and IDE. So that exists. That's awesome. There's also lolcode.org, and there's also lol.js from asgard.co.uk. Cool, I can has program number 2 returns 4 somewhere. Yes. Oh, so it's calculating the square root as written in LOLCODE. But let's see, does it also show JavaScripts? So the problem here is that, yeah, so this Asgard one, it has a problem of, again, I think it's an interpreter. Let me just make sure that I know what's going on here. So we're finding a lot of interpreters. Hey YouTube, what's up? My hosting deal isn't the best and you're putting my site under a lot of load, but it's not the worst and it seems to be dealing with it pretty well. Okay, so it uses cookies, whatever. Input, JavaScript, syntax highlighted. How is it getting the JavaScript? That's what I'm interested in. Because if we can get this JavaScript, then we don't have to build our own compiler, which would be great because building compilers is surprisingly difficult. Okay, nobody's watching. I'm boring today. Great. Cool. So online LOLCODE compiler, hi visible, hi world. Okay, thanks. Bye. And if I run this, expected endline got string. Is it supposed to be this way, or is it? Oh no, it's supposed to say visible. That's the thing. Let me zoom that in. Visible hi world, and it says hi and k thanks bye. Run hi world. Okay, so it does actually require capitals. That's good to know. I wonder if So this also, so Replit has some sort of compiler for JavaScript. LOLCODE. Why does everything have an interpreter? LCI, a LOLCODE interpreter written in C. Maybe it's actually interpreted language and we can't language stuff related to LOLCODE, general, LCI projects. Cool. So it looks like 10 languages that compile to JavaScript. LOL.js, a LOLCODE to JavaScript translator. There we go. That's what we need. We need LOL.js. How do I find LOL.js? Code google.com p-lol.js. Okay. So we're not gonna, it looks like we might not need to write our own compiler. We can just use LOL.js. So let's see if interactive example, a valid lol code, icon has usage instruction. I'm here from the internet, gluing captions to cats, bugs, other stuff. How do I get lol.js? Downloads. There was an error getting downloads. Okay, issues, source. Very nice. Download the code for this repo. So I'm going to just steal this because I don't think, let's double check that whether it exists on GitHub. Maybe a library for fetching League of Legends data. No. Give your website a sense of humor. Automatically exported. LOL.js. LOLCODE in the browser. Okay, that looks promising. Let's see, is this it? LOLCODE in the browser. Implement simple variable interpolation for string literals. Implement lol function on done on paused. Lol prototype get symbol. That does not look very promising. So we're going to try this one. So I'm going to, are there wikis, new issues? No. Okay, so this is gonna be fun. We have a project that is completely dead. The code export tool is no longer available, so we have all of this code. Did I download it actually? Ah, yes. Download the code for this repo, source archive. It's on my desktop now. Okay, let's look at my desktop then. Desktop, source, what's it called? Download, source archive.zip, source archive. What? Where did it go? Okay, let's try that again. Desktop, source archive.zip, unzip that thingy, and it goes where? LOL.js. Okay, so we're going to take LOL.js. It's and we're going to, let's see, wiki is empty, branches are empty, tags are empty, trunk, yes, trunk has code, and we have LOL.js and LOL.js examples. Cool. So I'm going to take this code, where is it? LOL.js, copy, make a new, go to my source code, random coding, LOLCODE, Babel macro, source, I'm gonna paste that there. Cool, so now in macro.js, or rather in our compiler, we have this code, go LOLCODE, we have the code, or actually, yeah, compiler, require compiler. So I'm going to make a new file. Instead of calling compiler, we're going to see LOL.js from trunk, and let's see how this works. Copyright Mark Watkinson. Oh, it's the same guy. Sweet. Okay, so it is the same guy. Perfect. So considering it's the same guy, we might be able to just use it directly. RMRF source LOL.js source lol.js. We remove that thing. Let's see package.json. Let's hope that it is. Why would he not have published this? Okay, so it's not published, which means we're gonna have to fake it anyway. But maybe, can I do a submodule or something? I don't know how Git submodules work. I always forget. There are issues. Let's see. Okay. I wonder if Mark Watkinson is still a person who exists. I mean, you know what I mean. Mark Watkinson, does he have... Okay, we will ping him later. I'm gonna send him an email. So let's see. How do I get a Git submodule? Git submodule. And I'm going to clone this, or fork it rather. Fork it to Swizzes using submodules in Git. Actually, should I publish it on npm even though it's... I can do that. Okay. So I'm going to publish it on npm so that I can use it as a dependency. So cd blah blah git clone, and because I'm nice, I'm going to publish it as @swizzards something. Hey Brian Ball, how are you doing today? Is there a Warriors game on again? I was told that I've been streaming a lot during Warriors games. So I'm gonna go and open lol.js. Open that thing, and we're going to go into package.json. We don't need these dependencies, so I'm going to call this, let's see, is there a there doesn't seem to be any information for what this could be. So we're gonna call these dev dependencies, and I'm going to look for what we need in our package.json. Where is my package.json? So I'm gonna go here. No, that's other stuff. LOLCODE, where is LOLCODE? LOLCODE Babel macro. Not sure about the Warriors. So what are you up to today? How come you've made time to watch me build something extremely silly? Okay, name is @swizzards lol.js, version 1.00 blah, because I have no idea what the actual version is. Description, lolcode to JavaScript compiler by @Mark Watkinson. Yeah, Mark Watkinson, yes, by @Mark Watkinson, adapted for modern JS, because that's basically what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be adapting this so we can use it in modern JavaScripts. Main is going to be, let's see, I think main is source lol.js, or we should compile it. Oh, nice. What kind of unit testing are you doing with JavaScript? Okay, so let's see. How is this guy using it? I'm hoping tests will help. Run test.js. Require parser source ast lol. So let's see. I think if I add micro bundle, that will work as well. So that's what we're gonna try next. But I'm gonna try running tests. I'm not actually sure how to run tests. Parser new pack. Yeah, so this comes with absolutely 0 instructions, but I think dependencies are async seems to be an actual dependency. Okay, and then node unit and JSON are dev dependencies, I think. Module async is not installed. I know it's not. What else do we need? We're going to, okay, so files are going to be in dist. So this, I'm just taking this from my existing project so that I can hopefully get LOL.js working as something that I can deploy. Keywords, LOLCODE, LOLCODE compiler, whatever. I'm not gonna have an author, I'm not gonna have a license, homepage, meh, dev dependencies. We're going to add microbundle. So we add microbundle. Okay, oh, and we do need a main file. So main is just going to be main dist slash lol.js.js. We'll see what happens. Okay, so now I say yarn install. If you think this is a bug, please, an unexpected. Okay, so what did I forget? Microbundle for version blah 0.11.0. Where do I like to host my Node apps? I personally like to host, it depends on what the app is doing, but lately I've been hosting a lot of them as Lambda functions on AWS. And in the past I've had a lot of luck with yeah, just AWS, or I've had a lot of luck with playing around with Now and sometimes Netlify. It kind of depends on what the app itself is doing. Okay, so ls node modules, cool. So now I think that if I run test, run JS, let's see. Ooh, that worked. Nice. Cool. So test JS, running tests worked. Now let's see how do the tests work. Tests run JS. So it runs just the module, or like just the current folder, which means if we get, what does generate do? JSON parser lol.js JSON parser source parser generate, write file sync parser JS. Okay, that's not it. AST lol.js. So lol on done on paused. I think lol is our main thing. Function var next tick, set immediate, window set immediate, lol utils next tick, type of module. Aha, module.exports equals lol. That's what we need. Perfect. So we can go into package JSON and define scripts. So we're going to say our test script is node tests run.js, and our build script is microbundle -i source slash lol.js, right? Yeah, that's the thing, lol.js, and we are outputting that to dist. What else do we need? npm run build for prepare. I'm not sure what prepare does, but sure, let's do it. npm run build. So now I can say yarn build, no license field, setting options module is deprecated, please override options main fields instead. And we now have lol.js.js. Let's see, dist lol.js.js, and if I cat that, perfect. So are you still meeting with Ty? I am actually still meeting with Ty. Git status, okay, git add dot, git commit -a-m, and we're going to say this, set up lol.js for building. Okay, git push origin master. And now I'm going to npm publish this and hope that I'm not stealing somebody's, you know, thingy. So npm publish, node resolve, okay, setting that is deprecated, don't care. I need my OTP, which means I need to go get my phone. Be right back. Okay, got my phone. Let's see, authenticator app. So I think that if this turns out to work, we will be able to get the whole thing working pretty quickly. But you never know with these things. So I'm publishing this to npm. Where are we? 578 402. You must sign up for private packages. I don't want a private package. I just want a namespaced package. You must sign up for private packages. New. Okay, let's see. npm prefix package with username. npm scoop. All name packages have scopes are a way of grouping related packages together. Each npm user organization has their own scope. Installing scope packages. Blah. Requiring publishing. Scope packages can be published from the CLI. The primary np if you wish, you may associate a scope with a registry. Publishing public scope package to the primary npm registry. Got it. So that's what I have to do. npm publish -- access public. Let's see. Okay, please work. Got it. Nice. Okay, so now here in my LOLCODE Babel macro thingy, I can say yarn add /lol.js. That got installed, and now I can try using it. And obviously I have no idea how to use it, which, you know, should be interesting. So let's see how it's used here in test. Test.js. Let's see. So we get the okay, I have to go open my thingy, random coding, LOLCODE Babel macro, and here instead of const compiler, we're going to say const lol.js equals require at /lol.js, like that. And now let's see, how do I get this working? So this is a set of end-to-end tests of the system. The tests here start with some LOLCODE, execute it, and look at the response. They don't do any granular blah of the parser. Cool. So what is T? Function T. And Bisken, you are not wrong. I definitely prefer using LOLCODE than I do Kotlin. It's at the very least it's a lot more fun. So I'm trying to figure out now how to actually use this because it's not obvious. So I wonder what this does. So I'm supposed to get T is expected expression test equality function. Expected expression test T T, where is it calling LJS? So lol, there we go. Lol function response, aha. Okay, let's go into source, lol.js, function on done and on paused. Okay, so it is actually an interpreter, god damn it. How do I make it? Prototype, pause, push, pop, get symbol, set symbol, find scope. Let's start by, okay, we're going to, yes, console log lol.js, and we shall see what's actually available in the lol.js object, I hope. Or it's probably going to be a function. Ah, no, perfect. So it's a function called t, to yarn, args array, next tick, built-ins. These are our thingies. So I'm trying to figure out how we can trick this into outputting JavaScript instead of interpreting LOLCODE internally. Lol built-ins, utils to yarn. What is to yarn? If val equals true, return win, return false, blah. Set IO, evaluate watch expression. So I think evaluate calls something. Listen, evaluate switch, evaluate gimme, evaluate cast, function definition, call function, loop body, evaluate loop, evaluate no op, evaluate again, node evaluation functions, emit, index, set special, find scope, get symbol, pause, resume, next. Hey. Compile, output, default IO. So it's still an interpreter, it's not a compiler. Which means, what does that mean? It means that we are in fact gonna have to actually compile it. Let's see, does the AST help us? Maybe we can parse it into an abstract syntax tree and then go through that and change it to I think that could work. Yes. What does generate? Oh, that generates the parser. JSON is the parser thingy. Okay. So let's see, how does lol.js use the AST? AST. Come on, I know you're using the AST somewhere. Let's then look at the tests. So test.js, how is AST used? What? Oh, global.ast equals AST. So AST, 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 AST. Well, so basically, okay, we have parser parse. So we need the parser, and we need, so if we parse it, we can look at that. So let's go back to the lol.js project, because apparently I like complicated things in my life, I have two projects working together. So we have lol.js, module.exports equals lol, and instead of all of this shit, which is deprecated anyway, we're going to say module.exports equals lol, AST, and parser, because I think that's going to be helpful. And we're going to say const AST equals require dot slash AST, and const parser equals require dot slash parser. No, dot slash parser. Is it? Come on, where is the parser? So we are in lol.js, source parser is one up. So dot slash parser. We're going to, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. So we get the parser, and then we module exports both of those things. And let's see, yarn build. Okay, and let's make sure that it is, oh, wrong file. Yarn build. So we're now building it so that it's exporting both all three, lol, parser, and the AST thing, and hopefully that will help us get out, take LOLCODE expression and parse it, and then we're going to build our own, essentially, AST to JavaScript builder. That should be doable, although maybe not in the next hour and a half. Okay. Cat dist lol.js. Actually, let's do a node and say const parser equals require dot slash dist lol.js.js, just making sure that it's actually there. Cannot find module dot slash AST. Why not? Parser lol AST. Identifier parser has already been declared. Command C, let's try that again. Cannot find the module. Okay, why not? Is it not so I think now I'm having trouble with the micro bundler or something. Let's see, how can I tell? So we have lol.js, which should be exporting all of these things. It has const require dot slash AST. So so a lot of this is based on globals, which is not great, but it might mean we don't So the parser, what does the parser do? Parser blah, 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 blah. Exports parser. Okay, maybe we don't need to actually export the AST. Let's try that then. Right, how are tests working? So if we go into tests, how does LOLCODE interact? I'll show you in a little bit, basically. Let me just figure this out. Okay, so we run, I think, test.js. This requires all of it, but it never actually uses the AST. This is a set of, yeah, it never actually uses the AST directly, which might mean we don't need it. So I'm going to try not exporting it and not importing it as well. We're just gonna have the parser, and we export the parser. So yarn build, and I'll show you in a little bit, Einbisken. Just let me figure this out first. Cool. Node, we get parser and lol from lol.js, and that worked. So parser, lol, perfect. Okay, so we say npm bump npm version minor git commit -m export parser, and npm version minor, and I'm going to publish this again, npm publish. I'm going to need my authenticator code, which is here. Come on. Okay. Okay, so now here I can say yarn add at swizet/lol.js, and we'll see if that installs it. It should update or upgrade at least. Perfect, it did. So Einbisken, let me show you how LOLCODE interacts with Babel. No, wrong project. Random coding, LOLCODE, Babel macro. Basically, I used this thing called the Babel plugin macros, and we are creating a Babel macro that runs that compiles LOLCODE into JavaScript. It's basically like a code transform. So if you write code like this, import LOLCODE from whatever the LOLCODE is, and then you can, that basically means that you can then define special strings. So you prefix a string with LOLCODE, define your LOLCODE inside there, and our macro then looks for every if I understand this correctly, and I'm not sure that I actually do, it looks for anything that is called LOLCODE and runs those through our compile LOLCODE, and compile LOLCODE is returning a source string for JavaScript, and that whole blob gets replaced with the string that we return from our compiler. That's the idea, at least. So I'm now figuring out if it works, or basically I'm trying to get the compiler part working. So we have the parser now, or I think we have the parser. So if we say parser parse expression, we should be able to get an AST, or an abstract syntax tree, of LOLCODE. So we can say const AST equals parser.parse of our source code, and if we console log that AST, we should be able to see what it does. So yarn test, and this should now print in an AST of the LOLCODE. Cannot find module parser from lol.js. Why is this shit not getting bundled together? God. Microbundle, you don't work very well. Or I just don't know how to use you. So how do I actually export this so that it all gets bundled together? GitHub microbundle. Zero configuration bundler for my... Yes. The problem is that zero configuration apparently often doesn't actually work. Okay. lol.js. Let's get lol.js, lolcode Babel macro, random coding, lol.js. So I open package.json and we say, do we have source? We don't have source. So source is source slash ls source lol.js. Source lol.js. Main is this lol.js.js. Output path for GIS modules, we don't need that. Scripts, build microbundle. Microbundle build using with TypeScript, specifying builds, mangling properties, all CLI options. Build once and exit, microbundle, output format, compress, strict, target. Okay. So I have no idea if this is gonna work, but let's try again. Save. Yarn build. Options module is deprecated. Where is that happening? So if I go into lol.js, this is requiring the parser, which I think means the parser should be getting bundled, right? React JavaScript. Okay, prettier did its thing. Yarn build, let's see. Options.module is deprecated. Okay, so we can now open the dist folder and make sure that parser is making it in there, right? Require parser, parser. So parser isn't getting bundled into our bundle. What if we say, is microbundle easier to use than Webpack? Yes, microbundle is supposed to be easier to use than Webpack, but apparently I don't know how to configure it, even though it's supposed to be configurationless. Like here in my example, all I did was this. Oh, maybe that's what's wrong. And then I think everything gets, yeah, everything gets bundled in. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Export star from macro. Okay, let's do that. So package.json source index.js. Let's do source new export star from /lol.js, and we put that in source and say index.js. Let's see if that's gonna work. Yarn build, microbundle source, package.json microbundle source index source lol.js. So if I now go to this lols.js, rmrf dist, and let's say yarn build. Oh, that's what I'm doing wrong as well. So where are we? Here, when I'm building, I'm running it on microbundle source index. So package.json microbundle source index rmrf minus dist yarn build. So it's now gonna go into index and hopefully bundle everything together. We shall see. Cool. loljs.js, open loljs.js. Nope, still doing it wrong. Okay, what if we instead go to our lol.js source and we say import parser from /parser. Okay, so we are importing that and we say export lol and parser. Okay, and parser.js, here options. Let's try that now. rmrf dist, come on, rmrf dist, and we say yarn build. Will that work? Import parser from /parser. Default is not exported by parser.js. Okay. So, so we need to export a bunch of stuff because there's no defaults. So we are going to import parser, parse, and parser. I'm not sure what the differences are, but we do our best, right? Yarn build. Parser is not exported by parser. Yes, it is. So what if we change this to using exports? So export parser, and export function parse yarn build. Maybe that's gonna work. Parser is not defined. Parser.parser as parser. Const parser equals parser.parser. Yarn build. Let's try that again and hopefully it works now. So I'm kind of struggling here with very stupid things instead of focusing on the core problem, but I think we are making progress regardless because this now has everything. Yay, sweet. Alright, so git commit -a -m fix bundling. Okay, git status, git add source, git commit -a -amend. So we're now changing the commit, fix bundling, git push origin master, and we say, what's the next one? npm publish, right? npm publish, and I use my authenticator code, and hopefully this is going to work now. 926. Where is it? 555 247. Yes, whoever named that should learn to name things better, but we work with what we've got because we are too lazy to implement our own, right? What? Oh, okay. Oh, npm version minor. npm publish access public. I died. Oh, okay. Now here we say yarn, we just say yarn, and then we run yarn test, and will that work? I forgot what we were actually testing, but sweet, it still cannot find parser from lol.js.js. Ah, why me? Wait, RMRF node modules, we're going to try reinstalling everything from scratch. Sometimes surprisingly that actually fixes problems, because I'm pretty sure we are now correctly bundling everything into lol.js. So if I go to the LOLCODE Babel macro project, we want to get the parser out of our lol.js thingy. Cool. So now if I say yarn test, we should be console logging the AST for this thing. Cannot find module parser. Why me? Okay, let's look. So LOLCODE Babel macro node modules. There should be lol.js somewhere here. lol.js, come on. Come on. Let's order by name. Low dash. Oh, because it's at Swizzards lol.js distrib lols.j. Why is this still doing a require? Oh, you know what I did? I forgot to build before deploying or before publishing to npm, didn't I? Let's verify. Vim dist lol.js.js. Yep, there's no require there. Okay, so another thing we can check, cat node modules at Swizzards lol.js package JSON. We are at version 1.1, so I need to yarn update lol.js at Swizzards/lol.js. So I think we didn't actually. Oh, I need to run yarn add again. That's what was wrong, I think. So we now installed version 1.2, which is the latest version, and I can now run yarn test, and we should get a parsed lolcode tree. Sweet. Macro AST is not defined. Yes. Okay, so we're making progress. It might not look like we're making progress, but we are in fact making progress. And obviously avoiding publishing to npm every time I make a change would have been a great idea, but I'm an idiot. So random coding lol.js. Now in the parser, where is the parser? This thing is using the AST somewhere. AST. Where is it using the AST? Aha, see? New AST arg list, which means we need to import the AST actually. So we say import AST from /source. Why is it working this way? This is very confusing. Basically the way it's done is it's expecting AST in the global scope, but we don't have AST in the global scope, so we have to okay, so then AST.js blah blah blah, and then down here it's going to say export lol.ast, right? Export default lol.ast, and we yarn build this thing and hope for the best. Okay, and I'm going to git commit minus avoid depending on global AST object, right? And npm version minor. See how fast we're going through versions? We're at 1.3 already. npm publish. Wow, how did an hour already pass? And we're still dealing with completely mundane, boring stuff here. Cool, got that. Yarn add, and now hopefully this time it's actually going to give us a parsed abstract syntax tree. Yarn, did it install version 1.3? It did. Yarn test. Let's see what happens. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we got an AST. So now now what we have to do is basically walk through the AST and just translate things into JavaScript, and that's it. Cool. So git status, git commit -a-m. We are saying that we are parsing lolcode into AST, git push origin master, and now the fun stuff is going to be linearizing this AST and changing it into a so this is our AST, and we're going to slowly go through the whole thing using the visitor pattern or whatever it's called and changing it into oy vey, this is going to be tough, but we shall see how it works. It would be cool if this was like a standard AST, but I don't think it is. So let's make sure that this is git pushed to master. Yeah. Okay, so now we random coding lolcode Babel macro. So we have the AST, and here we're going to return JavaScriptify the AST, right? And that's going to be the next thing that we're doing. So function JavaScriptify gets the AST and does what? It's going to return hi and console log the AST, and then we're gonna go from there. Yarn test. Yeah, pretty good progress, I think. Thank you, Einbisken. So you see, now we're returning function that just has a string hi in it because JavaScriptify is returning hi. And let's see, what do we know? We know that I really wonder if this is a standard AST of some sort, but I don't think it is. So we have a body. Okay, function call, function definition, if prototype. So we should, let's see, what does generate do? That, no? LOL.js, let's see how LOL.js does it. So it gets the AST. Here, those are built-ins. Yeah. Args array, utils to yarn. Set IO. Evaluate. Okay. So it takes a tree, which is our AST. So let's just call it tree to keep consistent. And then we evaluate things asynchronously so we don't crash the browser if the user has entered an infinite loop. Sounds reasonable. We also allow arbitrary breakpoints. To keep things fairly transparent to the caller, we handle here a loop called the tick, which was responsible for progressing the program in chunk. Blah. Go. This tick. Cancel is running. Blah lol utils. Next tick. This tick. Go. Go. I'm trying to figure out how it decides to actually run something. So we have the underscore go function. Evaluate break. Evaluate. Okay. So we have these handlers here. And that's what we're going to do. So JavaScriptify is going to use the evaluate, something similar to evaluate. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna go pee real quick. I will be right back. All right. Thanks, Brian. I'm actually really happy with my marathon result this year. So basically now what we have to do is recursively walk through all of our nodes and change them to their appropriate JavaScript thingy. So we're going to start with a node or a tree, but each node is a tree essentially, basically. Yeah. So let's see, where does this thing called evaluate? How does it call evaluate? Evaluate plus. So this evaluate tree function return blah self done call self blah. Okay, so we have the tree, and we're going to. I know a tree can have multiple things. Okay, so let's look at how is evaluate defined. Is the bad pork chops effect over? So the bad pork chops effect is mostly over, but you never quite know. Okay, so I'm going to mimic this implementation just because I can. So we're going to say let current node equals 3. So yeah, the bad pork chop effect kind of happened yesterday, and then because I'm an engineer, I tried the same pork chops again today, and a slightly different effect happened. So tomorrow I am not eating the pork chop, and I'm eating something else. The const handlers equals, we're going to start with the simple one, which is visible. So visible is going to be this. Let's call it, should we call it compile, serialize, JavaScriptify? JavaScriptify. Justify visible of our current node, right? No, it returns that. So then let's see, handler. If handlers of node underscore name, then so if that doesn't exist, we throw new error called not implemented node dot underscore name. Otherwise we call the handler, so handlers of node dot underscore name with our node. So we call it with the node, and so this is just doing a call. One problem here is that this is very object orientedly written, and I'm just doing it. I'm trying to do it more functionally because I'm more of a functional kind of guy. So we get our node. So actually we call it with the tree. So if the tree is blah, okay, now let's see what does the visible handler do? So evaluate visible. Let's see. Okay, so function. Oh, so it's not this. It's justify visible. Justify visible gets a node. Actually, let's call it just justify dot visible, and justify is going to be an actual object. So we're going to, or should we make it a class? Let's make it a class. Class justify. No. Yes. Okay. So const justify is going to be a new justify. This is just so we have like a way to store stuff. So visible is a function that takes a node and returns what? So io visible lol utils to yarn vals node.expression function vals. Let's say it returns console.log, and we'll see what that actually does, but it's also going to console log the actual node. So we should now have, actually let's just call that yarn test. So in theory this should now run our gsafe javascriptification and return an empty console log, and at the same time do something else. Aha, okay, so that doesn't work. Class properties isn't currently enabled. Does anyone remember how to define oh, that's how. Node is a function that does stuff, or visible is a function that takes a node and does stuff. Macro. Node is not defined because it is called a tree. Right. Tree. Let's just call it a node. That's going to be so much easier. Okay. Throw new error, not implemented body. Cool, we are making progress. Body is not implemented. What does body do? So here we are, body, body, or we say justify dot body. Now, what does evaluate body do? Evaluate body. Cool. So class justify body takes a node and does stuff to it. It's going to console log the node right now, and it's going to return body, just so we can see what actually happens. I don't think much is going to happen, but you know, we can see. Cool. So this is still returning hi. Cool, so we got the node body, and it has multiple lines. So I think we should, if type ret is undefined, then we call done. So I'm trying to figure out how to actually do this stuff, and I'm not having much luck. So I think node.lines, let's see what is node.lines. I think lines will be our like child nodes. Yes, so lines will be like child nodes. Yeah, so we have a literal and we have visible. Yes, wonderful. Okay, so we go through the lines, and we for each of those we call javascriptify. Yes, so we say node.lines equals node.lines.map of line, and we javascriptify that line or node. So node.lines gives us nodes, and we javascriptify each of those nodes, which again is a, it would make more sense if this was, so we're going to say const JS is const JSify is new JSify. So this is going to be like a the main function thingy. So const JSify of JSify, and we can call it, yeah, that makes sense. Nah. Okay, so we create JSify, then we say here this is going to be JSify of dot compile of our RAST, and then compile is going to take a node and is going to do all of this stuff. If this of node underscore name is defined, then we say node becomes this of node dot underscore name. So we're basically traversing all of our nodes and slowly changing them into JavaScript from the bottom up. That's the theory, at least. If that doesn't exist, then we throw new error not implemented node dot underscore name. Right. And then we return the node. Yeah. Okay. So node lines map, and we call this dot compile of node. So we no longer have JavaScriptify. And here let's still return hello. I'm going to say ein bisschen because he's cool. So this should now recursively start walking through the nodes. And it's going to say that primitive is not, see, it now says function hello ein bisschen. And it's going to throw unexpected token, yes, because let's try that again. Cool, snapshot failed, console log hi world, and we should have an error somewhere saying that primitives are not defined. I wonder if compile is not actually I know what's wrong. These do actually need to all be bound methods. So we're going to do it like this. Visible equals node blah, and compile equals node blah, and then it's going to tell me that class functions something isn't add Babel plugin proposal class properties to the plugin section of your plugin config. Package JSON Babel RC. Okay, how do I do that? Let's see. Git.io, Babel tree, Babel plugin. So I'm going to add this as my dev dependency, yarn add -d blah. And maybe just adding it will magically enable everything. That would be cool. No. Okay. Yes, that's what I want. Installation via Babel RC with options. Babel RC is recommended. Do I have a Babel RC? ls-a? I do not. So vim.babelrc, and I'm going to copy this. Cool. And now if I say yarn test, will it work? Wonderful, it does. Okay, so let's see now what's happening. If I go to my macro, so this should be console logging. Let's see if it's actually console logging. Going to comment all of this out and say console log hello with the node, and then we should see what happens. Does the node actually, does it get passed in? Is compile getting called? Are things happening? Yes. So we are getting hello, and then we're calling body, and we do need to implement the literal thingy, right? Right. So are children in lines? Children are in lines. So tap, 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 tap. Let's see, is body getting called? Console log hi body. Does that get called? Hi body does not get called. So we are going to need handlers, handlers, because JavaScript unfortunately isn't smart enough. So we're going to say handlers. For body is this dot body. For visible it's this dot visible. Right. Let's see now if that works. Okay. What I'm expecting is to get an error. Oh, I'm not actually calling it. That's what was wrong. Okay, let's try that again. So, I think this means I'm getting tired. So node, this node name, and then we have to actually call it with the node itself. So now when I run it, I'm going to get an error saying that identifier or primitive or whatever isn't implemented yet. Not implemented yet. Yes. Literal. Okay, let us define literal. So, what does literal do? Both cyan, LOLCODE, all high. Here we go. Handle literal. No, literal. Evaluate literal. Evaluate literal does the stuff. Okay, so literal equals node that does what? If object prototype to string is array, if type node value is a string, okay, so where am I? Okay, if object to string called no.value, let's see, console log no.value, and let's see what happens if we just return no.value. That might work, because this is a literal. I think just returning no.value should be fine. This is what we're console logging. Yes, so that should be fine. We should just return no.value, because if it's a literal, that means that we can just preserve it, I think. Guess we will see. So we got that. Then we have visible, and that visible visible is an expression. Okay, so visible, and that's our node. And let's see, what do we do with the visible nodes? Okay, so evaluate visible. So visible has an expression, that's this one, no.expression, and our expression in this case is a literal. I know what we have to do. So visible is a special node that takes an expression, which means we have to console log whatever that expression returns. So we say, and we are working inside a compiler. So if we console log this.compile of node.expression, that should be fine. Yes. Let's see. So yarn test, and we get something. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. So, after all of that stuff, in the end, let us console log the node, and we will see what we get in the end. So the last console log should be what our compilation has ended up with. See, it was console log hello, because we are returning hello from compile. Right. So body does the things, gets lines, and lines should return no.lines.join with \n. Let's see what that does. Now we're getting hello, hello. So literal is returning no.value. No.value comes from so literal returns no.value, which means, so okay, if we're compiling this, the first step is that we get the body, which has lines. It then goes through each line and compiles it. So when it compiles the lines, it means that it compiles each line individually and then puts them together into a string. Inside that, each node compilation should create a string which means this should in theory just return the node, and we will see what happens. We are making massive progress here. Yes. Okay, so we're going to, just to keep things easier, we're going to not include the high version because that makes things harder. Okay, so you might be able to see now that we are almost there. See, we're getting function console log hi world, which is not valid JavaScript, but it's very close. It means that here, where we are compiling the actual literal, we have to be a little bit more careful. So console log of our node, let's see what the node is. Okay, the node is a primitive literal value hi world. Okay, so what is evaluate literal doing here? Evaluate literal, if node.value is a string, okay, so we're going to do something similar. If no.value is a string, if type of no.value is a string, then we return no.value wrapped in quotes. Okay, camera died. Come on. Ah, doing the battery wrong. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so we have the node value. If it's a string, we return it as a string. Else if it's an array, what do we do if it's an array? If it's an array, then we go in and we evaluate each individual one. I think, yeah. I'm not sure. Okay, let's just do it this way. If it's a string, we return it as a string. Otherwise, we return it as a value, and that should work. We should now get working actual JavaScript. Yes. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Git status, git add.babelrc, git commit -a-m, and we're going to call this, what should we call it? Yes, we have the first basic implementation done. Implement enough LOLCODE compiling for a, what are we calling this? It is a for hello world, for hi world actually, for hi world, git push origin master, and yeah, I'm gonna call it, I'm gonna say this was enough for tonight. Doesn't look like anyone's watching anymore anyway, so I think we made really good progress. We have, let's see, I need to remove some console logs. No, yarn test. Where are console logs? Console log compiled up there. But basically, we have a working implementation of a basic JavaScript compiler, and now it's just a matter of going through the rest of these handlers. Where are they? Going through the rest of these handlers and just implementing transformations for those nodes into JavaScript, and that's pretty much it. I think this is going to make a great blog post on Friday. And we're going to continue tomorrow evening around the same time. And yeah, that's it. Thanks everyone for watching. If you're still there, I will see you again tomorrow.